Hi, welcome to America Uncovered. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, sometimes politics can be a real horror show. For example, zombie campaigns. And no, I'm not talking about this guy running for office. I'm all for politicians with more brains, but that's taking it too far. Zombie campaigns are election campaigns that have been over for a long time, but are somehow still spending money. Reporters from the Tampa Bay Times and WTSP did a year-long investigation into this undead issue, and what they found was truly terrifying. You see, when politicians run for office, they need to raise money for their campaigns, and they get that money through campaign donations. That money can come from a variety of places, from special interest groups to your average American. Yes, even Grandma Betsy. Hi, Grandma Betsy. And overseeing all this is the Federal Election Commission, or FEC. They're there to make sure nothing illegal happens. But what happens to all that money when a politician retires or leaves office? Well, it turns out the law isn't super clear about that. This FEC opinion from 2013 suggests that politicians ought to wind down their campaigns after about 6 months. And then the leftover money can be either returned to donors or given to charity or, and this is what mostly happens, given to another political campaign. But it turns out some politicians don't do that. They keep their campaigns open, spending their campaign funds long after their political careers have died. They become zombie campaigns, and not the fun kind. After analyzing more than 1 million records from the FEC, the Tampa Bay Times has discovered over 100 zombie campaigns across the U.S. Take Robin Talon Jr., a South Carolina Democrat in the House of Representatives. At least he was, but he retired from that position 25 years ago, in 1993. That was the same year Jurassic Park came out. The good one. I feel so old. When Talon left office, he had $400,000 in his campaign account. Grandma Betsy was very generous. Now, keep in mind, according to the FEC, using campaign funds for personal use is prohibited. So it's kind of hard to imagine what legitimate campaign costs he could be incurring 25 years after he retired from office. But according to the federal records, they include over $30,000 in reimbursements to himself. Why? It seems there was no explanation given. He also paid his son $20,000 because, you know, his son is his zombie campaign treasurer. Doesn't stop there. Between 2007 and 2011, Talon paid roughly $8,200 in dues from his campaign fund to an organization he identified only as CCSC. The Tampa Bay Times looked into it and discovered there are no major political groups or charitable organizations in South Carolina with those initials. FEC regulations say he's supposed to list the address of whatever CCSC is, but he doesn't. However, what the Tampa Bay Times did discover is that Talon lives in a 4,400 square foot home in a development within the Country Club of South Carolina. Country Club of South Carolina, CCSC. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Just like it's a coincidence, those payments from Talon are in line with the Florence, South Carolina Club's $300 monthly membership dues and food minimum total. I'm sure that's what Grandma Betsy had in mind when she gave to his campaign. It gets stranger. This is Mark Takai, who represented Hawaii in the House of Representatives from 2015 to 2016. Since 2016, his campaign fund has paid more than $100,000 to campaign treasurer Dylan Beasley. What makes this zombie campaign particularly weird is that Mark Takai died in 2016. Don't worry, he isn't an actual zombie. His campaign treasurer just kept writing checks from Takai's campaign fund to himself. And those are just 2 examples from more than 100 zombie campaigns from both Republicans and Democrats. So at this point you might be asking yourself, isn't this illegal? Well, it turns out it's as illegal as downloading Jurassic Park from the Pirate Bay. It's only legal if you get caught, right? And it's pretty easy to avoid getting caught by the Federal Election Commission. You just have to make up some vague campaign-related reason for your $4,000 computer that you'll definitely only use for work. And the FEC won't do anything. That's because the FEC is vastly underfunded and understaffed. Last year, it had just 34 analysts to review more than 26 million financial transactions. They just don't have the ability to look into it. And since these politicians are now out of office, it's not like they have political opponents trying to take them down by exposing their corruption. So basically, these politicians can run zombie campaigns, and most likely, the FEC will never find out. They can't even tell from reading their own forms whether the politician is still alive. But even when the FEC does find out, not a lot happens. Per the Tampa Bay Times, zombie campaigns have occasionally come to the agency's attention. Every time, the agency did nothing, and the campaign carried on. Who knew that when politicians have access to large sums of money with zero oversight, they'd abuse it? So how can zombie campaigns be defeated? Well, it's going to take more than a cricket bat, or even a pea shooter. But Congress could step in and put an end to zombie campaigns. All it would take is putting a time limit on how long a zombie campaign is allowed to be reanimated. In fact, there have been congresspeople, both Republicans and Democrats, who've tried to fix this. One bill, sponsored by California Democrat Mark Takano, specified that campaign funds had to be used within 6 years of the last election or before the candidate becomes a lobbyist. It was called the Let It Go Act, but it got frozen. It never even made it onto the floor for a vote. North Carolina Republican Walter Jones tried multiple times to introduce bills that would update the campaign finance law to do things like stop campaign funds for personal use. But his bills all died in Congress. And believe me, they won't be coming back to life. So why doesn't Congress fix this? I mean, it's hard to say. A cynical person might point out that every member of Congress has their own campaign fund, collectively worth millions, so why would Congresspeople vote to restrict their own money? Good thing I'm not a cynical person. Well, as scary as zombie campaigns are, at least they won't cause a zombie apocalypse. Probably. So what do you think about zombie campaigns? Leave your comments below. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered. What was that?